To speed up production at both Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk created a 5-step algorithm that goes like this. First, question every requirement. 2, simplify by eliminating every part that doesn't need to be there. 3, optimize. 4, accelerate cycle time, which means move faster. And then finally 5, automate. Turns out that over this many years, we have been using a very similar algorithm here at Selfmastered to accelerate our clients' performance. Just as Elon Musk wants to extract an ounce of performance from every process as both Tesla and SpaceX with this algorithm, our algorithm aims to do the same by helping our clients streamline their mindset, their behaviors, and eventually their results towards a common purpose. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels, you're working too hard for a meager payday, you know there's more within you that you haven't really accessed yet, and you're tired of not getting the results you deserve, this video is for you. Because if you apply this algorithm step by step, I can guarantee that your performance will skyrocket. So buckle up, take pen and paper, and let's go. My name is Castillo, founder of Selfmastered. If you're new to the channel, I am the founder of a Peak Performance Institute for Founders. We help them scale with peak focus, clarity, discipline, and self-belief. And if you're new, consider subscribing so you never miss out on any of the juicy videos that we release every week. So we have been building this algorithm for 6 years at this point, right? And we've realized that performance optimization really is very similar in every process. I have said in this channel many times, everything in the universe is cause and effect. So if you understand what causes create the effects you want, you can design a system, and that system also comprises your own personal performance to get exactly the outcome, the effect that you want, right? So everything is based on this systematic perspective. And here's what step 1 looks like. Just as in the Elon Musk algorithm, the first thing we need to do is to get clarity on what is it that we are trying to achieve and also to become. Because everything that we want is really one system and one transformation away, right? If I want to get a specific result in life, I need to create the conditions for that result to happen. But I also need to become the person that operates that system in order to get that result. Let's say, for instance, that you want to build a 7-figure business. Well, you have to create a system in which you're selling something at a specific price point to a specific number of clients with a specific current revenue to justify labeling yourself as a 7-figure entrepreneur. But at the same time, you need to create the right beliefs, behaviors, and mindsets in order to get to that 7-figure mark. You both need to go in parallel. So the first thing we do with our clients is understand exactly what it is that they are trying to build and who they need to become in order to achieve that. And identity, which is the label you assign to yourself based on your self-perceived level of skills, belief, and behavior, is malleable. You can transform it. That is the core of personal transformation. So step 1 is clarity on the what and clarity on the who. What is it that we are trying to achieve? What is the outcome of the system that we're going to be creating? And who do we need to become? What is the mindset, skills, and behaviors that we need to embody every single day to operate that system in order to make it happen? Step 2 in Elon Musk algorithm is removing any parts that are not necessary, and just as we do in our own algorithm. But we focus first on the mental chatter, on the mental interferences with that clarity and that path that we have selected. So step number 2 is audit the mind of the entrepreneur. Because, if you are clear on who you need to become, that identity you need to embody, what skills, beliefs, and behavior you eventually need to develop to build a 7-figure business, the beliefs and behaviors you have right now are not those that you need, right? And this goes beyond just thinking positively or, shouting affirmations or visualizing or whatever. This is going deep into your psyche, understanding exactly what subconscious inclination and automatic thinking patterns you have that are preventing you from getting to 7 figures on your own. Because if you already knew how to get to 7 figures, you will already be there. So the goal is to analyze and eliminate all the negative or automatic thinking and behavioral patterns that are not conducive to that 7-figure goal. And we do that with, psychological testing and one-on-one help and trying to understand exactly what is the thing that drives the behavior we need. This always requires a re-architecture of the belief system, the routines, the behavior, and everything in between that needs to happen in order to reach 7 figures. Then step number 3 is to prime your physiology for the journey. Because if you work on your mind, if you eliminate subconscious beliefs and behaviors, if you know what you should be thinking and believing and eventually doing to get what you want, but you are exhausted, you're hitting the limits of your nervous system, you don't rest well, you're not going to achieve your goal. Just as LeBron James spends upwards of $1 million to keep himself in prime physical shape, you also need to have the same spirit. You don't need to spend $1 million per year, because they're very simple, effective practices that we need to dial in order to build ourselves into an ultimate high energy machine. High energy founders and entrepreneurs think deeply, make better decisions, not get caught in wild emotional swirls, and are able to balance building their business with building a family and even competing in athletic feats. And here I like to do 4 specific things. One is nailing your sleep. Obviously, you've heard this 1,000 times, but we want to go deep in order to understand what is that we need to do in order to get our restorative sleep over 50%. Restorative sleep is basically the combination of deep sleep, as it is called, which is basically what helps the body physically restore and eliminate toxins, and also REM sleep, which is what helps consolidate memories and eliminate also toxins from the brain. So the combination of deep sleep and REM sleep is what constitute restorative sleep, and we want that to be over 50%. This is the KPI that we are looking for. Then comes nutrition. Nutrition is not about being lean, although that helps. It's about understanding how to drive performance through nutrition. So that typically looks like having food that is high on the glycemic acid, so it's very fast to digest, technically like protein and a little bit of fat, but also high satiety. So you don't need to eat a lot to feel full. Then 3 comes exercise. We always help our clients start an exercise routine or deepen the one they already have. Some of them even end up running marathon, starting amateur MMA careers or boxing careers. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that our people do. Why? Because the more you exercise, the more energy you tend to have, because you're training your nervous system to deal with ever-increasing stresses. And then finally 4, and this one is very tactical, nobody does it, but it makes all the difference, is breath work. The fastest way of calming the mind and shifting your state is not by thinking about, I should calm myself. No, it's about using the body, specifically your breath work, to create a forced relaxation response. We don't get into the specific, but it involves doing the right type of breath work to stimulate the vagal nerve that will reset your ability to stay calm, collected, and in control. So this is the 4 levers that we pull to be high energy at all times: sleep, nutrition, exercise, and breath work. Then once we're very clear on the identity, what I call spiritual performance, on the mental performance, so what is the belief systems and behaviors that we need to embody, and the physical performance, so your nervous system, then comes executive performance. And this involves nailing 2 things that are extremely important. One is the actual strategy, because everyone can set big goals and create these plans and design this identity, but if you don't know exactly how to set goals that actually push you outside of your current comfort zone so you can grow, you will never grow. And this is not what we want. We should not be setting smart goals. We should setting stretch goals that are specifically 4% outside of the current level of your abilities, because 4% has been found to trigger flow states regularly, but also is underpinned by a series of systems that you can easily track and execute on. So we have goals, we focus on the systems, and we make sure everything is aligned with the identity and the core values that we set in step number 1. This is the most important thing, because if we don't know where we're going, we will never get there. So that is step number 4. Is once we prime who we are, then we start working towards a direction that makes actual sense. And then the next step is executive performance on the getting things done side. So once we know what is the direction that we're going to be following for the next 90 days, and that's more that is 90 days, because 1 year is too far away, 3 years too far away. Set 90-day goals that you can wholeheartedly execute on, that make you step outside of your comfort zone and move forward as fast as possible. Then we go into execution, and execution means architecting every week and every day for maximum efficiency. So you can tap into flow states every single day. Flow states are altered state of consciousness in which you feel your best and you perform your best. In order to trigger that, which is the same as athletes call being in the zone, everything else has to be in line. There has to be alignment between who you want to become, so the spiritual performance, the mental side of things, but mental performance, physical performance, and then the executive performance. If everything is in line, all ducks are in a row, and you are doing the things you should be doing, which is highest leverage, directed to the goal, you will access a flow state. And when this happens, you can really get 5 times more done per unit of time. And finally, the final step is about gamification. Now, this step is not in Elon Musk algorithm, because Elon Musk is mostly dealing with machine that do not get tired, that do not get bored. But we humans get bored and get tired. The way of becoming better every single week and never stop improving is gamifying the process. This is so crucial. Nobody talks about this, but it makes all the difference. And there's plenty of research in the behavioral science about how gamification helps us become better, right? The core of gamification is feedback, which is also the core of performance science. You know, the difference between doing something and improving from it or not improving is feedback. The difference between practice and deliberate practice. So by gamifying everything that we do, by having feedback systems that allow us to become better every day, we can sustain the same behavior and the same activities for a long enough period of time, because we are tapping into the human willingness to become a master at the task. Feedback is what allows us to cultivate our mastery. And it's especially powerful if you set KPIs for your performance, as I do when we teach our clients. So the goal is that you have a specific KPI for your mindset, KPI for your behavior, KPI for your workday, KPI for your work week. You have a clear way of knowing whether you are improving or not improving, because that allows you to really become very powerful. So this is the algorithm that we always follow. First is get clarity. Understand what is the purpose, the core values, the identity that you're building towards. Who are you willing to become, and what is the system that you are willing to master? A good example of this would be, let's say that you came to America, to the UK as an immigrant when you were a kid, and you could see your parents toil to give you an education, and you feel purposefully connected with building a startup that allows immigrants to come to the UK, to the United States, and face less difficulties than you had to go through as an immigrant. Right? That's a very purposeful existence. The system that you commit on creating is that it's startup, and you create a very specific image in the future that you're willing to build for that startup, a specific revenue number, a specific impact in the world, and you map out all the beliefs and behaviors that they need to happen in order for you to build that company. This is step one, getting clarity on the purpose, the core values, then the system. Then step two is mental performance. All right, based on who we're willing to become, who are we right now? Like, what do we believe? What are our skill set, belief systems, behavior? How do we need to change, and how do we induce that change? How do we improve every week? Then step three is, are we operating with high energy? Are we really able to sustain high levels of work intensity every single day? Or do we need to nap? Or do we need to dial in our our routines. That's step number 3. Step number 4 is having that strategy. What is the strategy for the next 90 days? What are the systems we need to be following? How do we know that we are winning? How do we keep improving every single week? Step number 4 is about executing in deep states of focus and flow state. So we're not wasting a minute of our time. We're not entertaining ideas that should not be entertained because they're not aligned with the vision. And overall, we stay effective and efficient every single day. Because when you master one day, you master your week. When you master your week, you master your month. When you master every month, you master every quarter. And eventually you master every year of your life. And this is what we want. And finally, in order to not get bored, to not get distracted, because we're not robots, we make things fun. We spice them up through gamification. We create specific KPIs and feedback loop driven protocols within every single day in order to become better. And this is how you eventually become an elite performer and scale your business super fast without falling for any procrastination, productivity, and burnout like most entrepreneurs end up doing. If you need our help to really improving yourself and improving your business with this specific protocol, which is of course research backed and data driven, book a call with us. We'll be happy to help you if you qualify. And if you want to dive deeper into how this works, what specific skills you should be looking to build, how to architect your spiritual life, your mental life, your physical life, and your executive function for maximum performance every single day, I wrote a 34-page blueprint that is going to tell you exactly what you should be focusing on in order to get the results you want. See you in the next video.